really want to do mint. I really want to do, I mean, hopefully eventually vegetables, but I'm trying to start with just herbs because before I'm really bad with plants. So I'm just trying to slowly get back into it.
I don't think anybody's bad with plants. I think we just don't know how to take care of them. And so sometimes they die. But yeah, no, I think starting with herbs is really good because those are pretty easy to take care of. So
yeah, so far my basil has been really good. That one's been thriving. So that's been good.
Yeah, it's a whole process. Like, I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but like I used to kill everything too. And it's like you just have to have that like encouragement of like keep going, you know, like it's a practice. It's really based on experience. And for so long we haven't been that connected to growing things and like, you know, seasons and all of these things. So it's a whole thing. But that's what I did too. I just started last year with just like one plant, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this one plant out, and then and then later I'll see if I can add any more. So we have a few people joining, which is cool. This is just, I mean, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I just wanted to create a space where we could talk about experiences and just see if like, I mean, there's certain things that are kind of always going to be needed, like first frost date, when to plant seeds, stuff like that. But it's really based off experience. And so if we could all get together and kind of share experiences and maybe even share seeds or like anything like that, it's good. So I put together like a little kind of like worksheet with some resources and stuff. So I'll just go over that. And if anybody has anything, just chime in, like unmute yourself, and, you know, we can just have like an open conversation.
Awesome.
So I'm going to share this, and then I can share this, like share the link too. Cool. So one of the first things that I started to figure out was like there's something called a first frost date, which is basically an estimated date of whenever the last spring frost will be. So most of the time, like if you look at seed packets, we have like different zones, and it tells you like don't put into the ground until after the last frost or something. And so I put a website here, which I forgot what it's, yeah, the Almanac. And it has, you just punch in your zip code and it tells you like what the estimated first frost date is. And us for San Antonio, we're in zone 8, we're March 10th. Okay. Yeah, so it's some things will still grow before the first frost date. You just have to like protect them before they get too cold and die, or put them inside. Like I still have basil growing too, and mint, and they've been really happy actually since it's gotten cold. But I put them in whenever it's about to get too cold, below freezing. And then the next kind of consideration I put down was seeds, where to get seeds, sowing them inside before the first frost date or planting them directly into the ground afterwards. And this I'm still honestly trying to figure out. I don't have like a place where I get seeds yet or anything like that, but In San Antonio, we have a lot of like nurseries that have, it's like never too late. You can go to the nursery and kind of just pick up a seedling and put it into the ground then. And then I was reading about how there's a lot of different types of seeds. Like we've all heard of like GMO seeds, which are genetically modified, and we don't want those. And then there's like open pollinated seeds. What are the other ones? Heirloom seeds, hybrid seeds, and it's like a whole thing. Sarah might know more about that, but I just put some links of like what kind of seeds you want to look for whenever buying them. And you can kind of go into that on your own and kind of check it out.
I have a question. So whenever you were researching, did you find anything about people recommending like starting your own plants from seeds or just buying a seedling and then transplanting it into your garden?
I think it's based off timing. Like if you time it right, you can grow your plants from seed. But if you're already past like a certain date, it's better just to go get a seedling. And I think that's the main consideration. Like, for instance, I've never tried to start seeds inside before. And I've also read that you have to, something called hardening, where if you start them inside like weeks before you're going to plant them outside, you have to give them like, okay, only 6 hours outside today and then bring them back inside. Okay, 8 hours outside today and then bring them back inside. And then, okay, maybe a full day today and then bring them back inside, because they're not used to the environment outside. And so if you just shock them, they'll end up dying.
That makes a lot of sense though.
Yeah. But I've never tried to do that. Like last year, I just did it directly into, well, they were pots. They weren't like into the ground. But I felt like the seedlings were a lot more like strong and hardy. Like they were able to withstand like rain and like, you didn't have to baby them as much. They just kind of did their thing.
Interesting.
I think that's interesting too, because in the fall I tried growing vegetables in pots for the first time, and usually I've just like planted them like from seed straight into the ground, and of course like what is it called, like you like alter your soil, so like I added some compost that was like already mixed in with the topsoil, like to add some nutrients. And like usually I just like plant it right into the soil and they do really well, vegetables. But I tried to do like potted veggies this past fall, and it didn't go so well. Like almost everything died.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I, it was kind of just an experiment because I wanted to know, okay, what would happen if I tried it in pots instead? Because I honestly, I just didn't have the time to do my whole veggie garden thing this year. So I was like, all right, I have some pots, I have some soil, let's see what we can do. But I don't know. For some reason I haven't had that much luck with doing like potted veggies. I think herbs are really easy to do in pots. Like I usually always have them in pots, but like potted, I think, I don't know, maybe there's something I'm missing. Like maybe they need more like nutrients, and yeah, I think that might have been something that I didn't look into too much.
When did they die? Like, were they already big or?
That is a good question. When did they die?
It was a tomato plant, you said, or a vegetable plant?
Yeah, there were different vegetables. So I did some kale. I did what else did I do? I think I tried like a zucchini and green bean and bell pepper, tomato, on almost everything died.
No.
Yeah. I would say maybe like 2, 3-ish months after I planted them, they started to die. And if they survived, they were just really small.
Yeah, it could have been like a spacing, like they need more space, or maybe like some pests inside of the pot. Like I had a plant once that it was very strange, and I ended up realizing that there was like a mildew in like on the roots, so you couldn't save it. But basically like part of the plant, it was so weird. It was like part of the plant would droop and the other part would be like totally fine. And and what I found that has helped me a lot is I use these like felt pots.
Oh. Uh-huh.
It allows the roots and everything to breathe and self prune. And so I mean there's like really expensive ones, but you can literally use like a 99-cent one from Walmart. They're like the grocery bags that they have. It just has to be felt and make sure it doesn't have like that plasticky wax stuff.
Yeah.
And I grew tomatoes in those, and it was surprisingly how well they grew. Like they would keep growing if I just let them. But at one point, yeah, they were running out of room. But it gives them like air, and I found it helpful because I had potted plants and they just always like, I have such a hard time with them. Because if you water them too much, if they're not like draining properly,
Yeah.
so many pests and fungus and bad things can happen.
Yeah.
But those pots have really changed my growing significantly. I even have like I'm renting right now, so I can't like just put stuff into the ground. So I have this like big felt pot. It's maybe like, like 4 or 5 feet circular. And I was able to grow snap peas and green beans, and I mean it wasn't like a lot, but it was significant. And so that's something you could try. I don't know, it might help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean there's so many things that could go wrong. It's almost okay, so I put together this like blank planning worksheet that gives you I'll send you the link to this page, but basically it gives you let's see if it'll load. Kind of like you could just write down what kind of plants you want to grow this season, and then look up how many days it takes for them to mature completely, sunlight, what kind of space they need. And those sometimes end up being more intuitive. Like if you're starting off in like pots, you'll end up moving them around, realizing like they're better in this spot because it's sunnier, or they're better in this spot because it's shadier, whatever. But normally on seed packets, or even you can just find it online, it'll tell you what kind of sun certain plants like. Spacing requirements. This will help you kind of figure out what you can actually plant in the space that you have. Possible pests that you might want to look out for, when to plant it, and any other notes. This is really basic. I just put it together so that you could have something that you could just write down maybe some ideas of what you wanted to plant.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and then I found this which was super helpful for me. It basically has later. This was a website I found, the I think it's like urbangardeners.com or something, but the link is there. So when to start spraying vegetables, and then you can change your frost date, and I put ours in here already. And then it'll give you like some ideas already with certain types of plants, or this is specifically for vegetables. So certain vegetables, and this is if you start it inside or if you just plant it into the ground. So that's for you all too. I'll send you the link here in the chat in a minute.
Thank you. I love that so much. That's so helpful.
It is, yes.
Yeah. This is kind of one of the things I wanted to touch on. I saw this YouTube video, and it was about gardening in Houston, and we have similar climates, but it was saying how Texas has a really interesting growing season. Basically, you can grow like all year round, and the first growing season in January to like March is just the cool growing season, where it's like you can do stuff like Swiss chard, lettuces, stuff like that, because we do get frosts, but it's not like constant snow or anything. So the cool growing season, and then you have the warm season 1, which is like what people up north would normally have in their summer. Like you can do like a traditional type of veggie garden then. And then we have hot season, which we all know. And it's the hardest time to grow anything, really. You have to really shelter your plants then. And then you get another chance, warm season 2. It's basically the same, just temperatures are getting cooler. This is kind of like October, September. And so you can replant all of those things. So you get a chance to like try several times. And sometimes what you can do is like, okay, I can plant Swiss chard today or something. And then by the time it fully matures, you have an open space to plant maybe green beans or something. So it's fully matured by March. I chop it down, harvest it, and then put in green beans. Amend the soil however you need to. So that's, I think, really cool and interesting, and you can do a lot with just a small amount of space. Another thing you could consider is just putting, those dates into a calendar or a reminder so that you don't forget. And what else? So, fertilizer. Right before the talk, I was talking to Sarah, and apparently in San Antonio, we have a few places where we can get free compost.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to try to find the links to that and put it in this worksheet too. Because we all have those green bins, and they all go to a certain facility, and they process the compost, and then we can just go pick it up for free, mulch and compost. Wow. So that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, whenever we do like the brush pickup, the curbside pickup, so what the city will do with I think all of the like branches and like woody plants, they'll put them through what are those called? I can't think of the name of it. But they'll basically like mulch all the wood, and then it's just available for anybody who's a resident of San Antonio to pick up.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
So I'll try to look up those, and I'll put them in here so that you can go check that out.
I'll send you the link for it. I just found it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I get off the line. It's because the baby just woke up.
No problem.
It's okay though, just in case if I go off.
Okay. Thanks for joining. Either way, I appreciate you being here.
Oh yes, I was excited about it. I was like, oh, perfect.
Okay. So we're almost at the end. So like the last little bits is fertilizers and amendments. I mean, I'm still not super well versed. Different plants need different things, and the main ones are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then I just put a link here where you can check out more about what happens when they don't have certain types of what is that called? Nutrients, yeah. Stuff.
When they have that stuff.
When they don't have food. So yeah, so this is like a just a nice website I found. So
cool.
And then a little bit about conscious gardening. So the way to kind of tie it in. Gardening gets easier with experience, so don't give up. A little philosophical point that we are entitled to grow, but we have to remain kind of detached from the fruits of our labor. Detached if things die or if they end up growing and we have, an abundance of harvest. We just have to do our due diligence and try. And we have to see that whatever comes of our endeavors is a gift. And be it actual fruits and veggies or lessons for the future. And then when we connect the fruits of our growing to the divine with love, we become an instrument of the love, and the cycle comes full circle. We have to think about sustainability, how to produce, being conscious of a bigger picture, and how to do so with the utmost love and respect, and a few other resources. So I am going to send you, let's see, share. Okay. So I'm going to send this into the chat so you guys can use it, and I'll add those links that you sent me, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to